The horizon.
Welcome to Being in the Business. I'm your man, Jamie Thurston Weingart. This is the show where entrepreneurs spill the tea on what's really going on behind the scenes of a business. Or maybe today's episode says spill the cake and the tea. We have the Miss Sassy Bakes in studio with us. Welcome.
Thank you so much.
It's definitely a pleasure to be with you. I think you've definitely taken the world by storm with your cakes. You've grown from, I don't know, from just people not knowing your name to people coming up and asking for your autograph, being such a famous, I can't even say cake maker. What do you call someone like you?
Cake artist.
A cake artist.
Cake artist.
Sure. Yes, that's and I'm loving that because your cakes look amazing. They taste amazing. I've been seeing them all over Instagram. All the celebrities are buying your cakes, and it's not just for celebs. Anyone can actually purchase your cakes.
Anyone.
But I want to hear your story. I want to hear where you came from, how you started, what's going on, and also the challenge you face. Because I want people to know that entrepreneurship is not easy. You can definitely relate.
Yeah.
I know Sassy makes it look easy, but it's not. And I think if we can start sharing each other's stories, we have a lot of lessons to learn from each other, so we don't end up making the same mistakes. And I can't even talk. My mouth is watering because Sassy has been talking about her cakes. And I just have less with the cakes.
My selling point, babe. My selling point.
But I want to get into the entire story of just share with us who you are.
Okay, so I actually started out in the food industry.
Okay, nice.
Mind you. And I was very well known for making the best curries. So I was named the curry queen of Cape Town.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I decided to retire at my tender, beautiful young age.
Sure.
Yeah, and then I thought, okay.
Wait, retirement?
Yeah, I was going to retire. Yeah.
Okay.
Because I worked very hard, and I worked wisely with my money.
Oh,
okay?
Nice. Sure, I must come learn from that also.
Yeah, and then what I've done, it's not like this is also a very common error that a lot of people make. When you make a lot of profit and you profiteer this month, put that money aside because next month might not be as great.
Yeah.
So then you know you've got your backup. That you should always have a backup. And then I started doing the cakes, and I remember telling everyone, I can't be at home. I'm this active person. I need to be involved with people. I need to feed people. That's my life. And then I started with the cake, doing a few cakes as a hobby.
Okay.
Yeah. And within a matter of 6 months, the hobby turned out to be a business. Because once the people started tasting it, everybody wanted to know, who's the Sassy Bakes? Who makes this cake? Who's the lady behind it? And then it just started growing.
No, that's
and
lovely.
Now it's an empire.
Yes, you're taking
empire.
over.
Yeah.
So with that, there's definitely lots of successes behind you. I've seen you doing a lot of big events.
Yeah.
And what's your growth from the business side as well? Because you started off as a hobby, same as yourself.
Yeah.
And you're now employing people. You got some bakers, more artists, receptionists, or what?
Yes.
Explain this story of your growth.
Okay. So when I started out, it was moi et moi. Okay, so
and you were everything.
Yeah, I was everything. I was the driver. I was the baker. I was also the cleaner. Okay, I was also the photographer.
Oh, nice.
I remember. I think I had something like 300 followers, and then I managed to get a photographer for the first time, and I was so chuffed because it's my first photo shoot for Sassy Bakes.
Nice.
So everything took time, and obviously, as the more busier I became, I realized, but I can't do this on my own. And then I got my old faithful, my aunt, Auntie G. Auntie G is like my right hand.
Nice.
And then I said, Auntie G, just come and help me out because she was always with me in the food industry. So she knows my OCD and all of those things, which OCD is very important when you're doing a business because things get done right.
Yeah.
So I got her involved. And from there, I met another girl that I had studied cake artistry with.
So you actually studied cake artistry?
Yeah, you study cake
artistry. But
artistry.
did you study this before you want to do the hobby, or when did you start studying this?
I studied that afterwards because baking and cake artistry is completely different. It's independent from each other. So I could do the baking already. So I always had that ability to be able to bake beautifully. But the cake artistry is where you have to do with sugar flowers and you can design cakes and all those things. You know what I mean?
Yeah, let's say you eat with your eyes first.
You know what I mean? Absolutely. So it needs to look the part and taste the part. So I just started employing more and more and more people.
Now, when did the decide? So you wanted to keep busy after retiring. Why cake?
The infamous question. So one day I went to a shop. I'm not going to say, and I've always been a lover of cake, and I thought I'm going to make myself. You know, when our people, when we sit down and we make ourselves that beautiful cup of milk tea, right? So nice milk tea with your beautiful piece of cake, and I'm thinking like, this is my moment. This is the moment of truth, and I'm so excited to eat this cake because aesthetically it's looking so beautiful. And I do my first slice and I put it in my mouth and I'm like, I'm so disappointed.
Aww.
This is not what I wanted. And I thought, being the person that I am, then I'm on a mission. I'm on a mission to go try this one's cake, that one's cake, and I'm starting ordering cake everywhere and just tasting. And I'm thinking,
where did it go after doing all that?
I'm hiding it, okay? And then I thought, I want to create something that is aesthetically beautiful, but also really taste the part. So if you tell me caramel, I want to be able to taste this is a pure caramel cake. And then I started using my brother as a guinea pig. He was more than happy to try everything, never complained. Nice. So, and he's also he's like the worst critic. I'm also my worst critic, but he's somebody to always be objective and say, no, my sister, that needs to be thrown in the bin. So he started coming along and just helping me out, to say, okay, this is a winner, this is not. And that's how it all started.
No, that's a very interesting journey. I was saying from the curry queen to the cake queen, the sassy cake queen.
Yeah.
But that story of tasting something and not being happy with it is exactly how good businesses are made.
Yeah.
When you dealt with the problem and your problem you weren't happy with the way something tasted or compared to how it looked, your expectation was here and the reality was here.
Yeah.
And I feel a lot of people make businesses like this. And that's, I think, is the biggest base on a business, because now you have more passion in this. Where I've got a problem I have to solve. I've got a problem where I was perceive that something's going to happen and didn't happen the way you wanted it to. And I think that's one thing that people need to look at when you are making a business. Are you solving a problem? And in your case, there's a lot of other people who have the same expectation. They sit down with a cup of tea, they want to have their moment, they take that first bite and they're like, this isn't it. Girl, call Sassy Bakes. If you do want to get all the Sassy Bakes, we can get her on Instagrams as well. And you can enjoy our conversation here. We can jump into social media. When we come back from the break, we need to take a break. I actually want some cake too. When we come back from the break, we're going to find out more about the challenges that Sassy has faced in her business and how we can use those challenges in our business or even in our lives. Yeah. So this is Being the Business. I'm Jamie Thurston, and I'll see you after this. And welcome back to Being the Business. I am Jamie Thurston. I've been having an amazing discussion. I'm still getting hungry here with Sassy Bakes, and she's been telling us her journey from being the curry queen to being the cake boss. Yes, and running an entire new business called Sassy Bakes, and now she's serving us delicious confectionaries, cake art. It's not just baking, it's not baking, it's cake art. But through all the niceties and through all the successes she's had so far, I want to dig a bit deeper and get to the real tea, the real cake and tea. And I want to find out from you the challenges you faced starting up a new business. You mentioned how you had to be everything in the beginning, but I'm sure it goes beyond that. Yes. How was it with you when you started up as a brand new cake business?
When I started out, like I said to you, it was supposed to be a hobby. And then everybody wanted to taste, everybody wanted more sassy. And then I kind of overextended myself. Because I'm also the type of person that can't say no. Because in my little bubble that I live in, I can look into the world.
Yeah.
One person, I'm not Superwoman, darling.
Sure.
I'm not. So I started learning that, in business you have to do time management. Because in order for you to deliver the same quality, you need to be able to have the time to do that. So don't overextend yourself and go yes to everyone, and then you end up being the loser because you are so exhausted, and then you lose focus on what you need to do.
Did something like this happen to you?
Yes.
Like Tell me, spill the tea on what happened,
Yeah,
like
I mean,
when you
like
overworked yourself.
I overworked myself, besides the fact that I collapsed because I was I was so tired, but I wouldn't want to disappoint anyone. But then I realized I do this because I love doing this is my passion. And in order for me to create my passion, I need to be me. I need to be, because it's a lot of love that go into this. So I need to be 100%. I need to take care of myself. Then I needed to take a break away from it for about a week or two, and just really understand that I need assistance, right? And I was at the beginning I was charging next to nothing for the cakes because I didn't know what the cake was worth.
Yeah.
And then before I knew it, I was like, I'm actually digging into my savings to fund this business.
Sure, that's not right, eh?
So this is also imperative that when you need to do your due diligence, you need to find out what is the product cost, and remember, you need to get paid.
Yes.
Most importantly, and that is where so many of us lack, because you need to understand it's your time. If you need to go and buy an ingredient or whatever the case may be, it's your fuel, it's your time, it's your car, it's all those factors. So sometimes when somebody says to you, oh, I would like to have this cake, and you, for example, tell a client, oh, this cake is 500 rand. Oh, but it's a bit too costly. Think of the box that the cake needs to go in, right? Yeah. Think of the design, the electricity. When you are done with those things needs to be washed as detergents. It's all those things. So we need to factor in all those things in order for you to determine a pricing of something.
Yeah.
That, Jamie, that's for any business.
No, definitely.
Right?
Definitely.
And at the end of the day, dude, you need to pay yourself.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Very important. That is something that I needed to learn, because I was making sure all the staff gets paid, everybody has the cake, and I'm sitting at the end of the day so exhausted, but I wasn't getting anything besides a rose.
Sure.
And it wasn't even edible.
But that's quite a hating situation. I'm sure I've seen this also, and I guess it might be the case of coming from a hobby.
Yes.
Where you felt like, oh, this is entertaining for me. I'm passing time.
Yeah.
And then realizing that now it's not just a hobby, it's a job.
Yes.
And when did that realization hit for you? Or did it always feel like a job, or did it always feel like a hobby? Does it still feel like a hobby right now?
No, it's a complete hobby. I genuinely, and I always say to people, this is really who I am. Anybody that knows me knows that I'm just all about spreading the love, because in my bubble, everything is perfect. Everyone loves each other. And I just want, when I see people eating the cake and how much joy it brings to them, it brings joy to my heart.
Okay, for the Christmas.
Yeah, I know, totally. So this is my change that I bring about. Sorry that I'm putting on extra kilos. Don't blame me for that. Blame me that you're having a moment when you're eating Sassy Bakes.
I think there's a line that Oprah said that if you enjoy what you do, you never work a day in your life.
That is so true.
And I think you've kind of encapsulated that with your business.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's all the nice things. I want to now find out more about the problems.
Yeah.
So we touched on a few issues here, and I think you've given some good tips on it too. With your health thing, how did you manage that? Like you said, you collapsed.
Yes.
Was it while baking or what?
Yeah, I was just overtired because I was overexerting myself and wanting to please everyone. And, the challenges is also...
Where do you think that comes? Sorry, where does that come from for you to want to please everybody? Like, how's that? Because is it just about the cakes and want people to be happy?
Yeah.
Or...
It comes from my childhood.
Okay.
It comes from my childhood, yeah. When I was a child, I was always overweight. Always.
Okay.
And I was always teased and mocked at school. And that time, not like heavily overweight, but in the 19th dot when I went to school, let's not say the year because I might just give my age away. I also learned, that some children can be very cruel and they would mock you, and then I started suffering from where I wanted everybody just to be happy with me. I wanted to please everyone. I also wanted to be pretty, and that stemmed from me being unable to say no, and also becoming a people's pleaser. So I'm glad that I went through that phase in my life, because now I also understand that you can't say something to hurt someone else, or be gentle or be kind to someone, because that tiny little insult or word, or you don't have nice hair, or you're not pretty enough, or your legs is not nice, or whatever. It affects people and it molds you to the adult that you become. So I'm so happy that I went through that phases, and that's where the can't say no and overexerting myself comes from, because I'm such a people's pleaser.
No, I think it worked in your favor. Like, yes, it might have been bad being, I would say,
Bullied, yeah.
but you've turned it around. You've taken whatever Noah said, whatever Noah's mother told him. When someone insults you, you take it with the love of Jesus and you throw it back at them.
Yeah.
And that's what you're doing with your cakes. And I think a
Yes.
lot of viewers out there could possibly even relate of how their background affects the way they deal with people and
Yes,
how they deal with
absolutely.
customers. I feel like if anyone else out there might have some interesting stories to want to share with Sassy, or even with us as well, jump on our social media, check Sassy on social media as well. With Sassy Bakes, the details will be here at the bottom of the screen, and you can engage and share what you've done and maybe even how you've dealt with bullies. When we come back from this break, I want to talk to Sassy more about how she solved things within a business and even solving the case of wanting to please everybody.
Yes.
Because that, I think, is quite a big issue, and a lot of businesses and a lot of entrepreneurs get strained around that. You can't make everybody happy. You need to say no sometimes, well, most times, because you need to make sure you put yourself first, and what you've also mentioned is pay yourself.
Yeah.
Cool. So I'll see you after the break. Thank you. Welcome back to Be in the Business. I'm Jamie Thurston, and we've been having an amazing cake and tea chat with the Sassy Bakes. Yes, she's become famous like overnight, and she's taking South Africa by storm with her amazing cake art and her cakes, which I can't look at you and not think I want to eat cake right now. Yes.
I love it.
So we've been through what the business is, we've been through the challenges, but now I want to figure out what you've learned, Sassy, and what we can share with other entrepreneurs out there. It might not be another cake business because you can't compete with this Sassy Queen over here, but there's lessons we can learn in every single business, and I definitely think there's lessons to learn of how Sassy's come through her business.
Yeah.
So the big lessons you mentioned a bit was about paying yourself.
Yeah.
And about knowing when to say no. And also the big thing of how you started out being everything.
Yeah.
And when do you know when to put people on to work with you? That's something I want to dig into here, because that's something that I know entrepreneurs struggle with. When do you let go? You that has your OCD.
It's very difficult.
That you want those things to be perfect. How do you put another task? How do you put someone else in charge of another task?
Yeah. That was one of my biggest challenges, because in my head, I will do everything the way I need it to be done. But you need to understand that, yes, that person might not do it exactly the way you want it to be done. They might have a different method, but it doesn't mean it's a wrong method or it's an incorrect method. So maybe I would say I would like to diarize my stuff a certain way. And my assistant comes and says, but that method doesn't work for me. So you also need to be open to understanding that if a method is done differently, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's wrong. Because you need to also elevate yourself from your duties. In order for you to be the best creator, you need to be able to entrust your staff to be able to do certain things.
No, preach.
Yeah,
That's definitely
yeah.
right. And that's something a lot of, I would even just say entrepreneurs.
Yes.
Because entrepreneurs are a special breed. Entrepreneurs are some of people that are usually, psychologists will say controlling, psychologists will say, all these words that might sound weird, but it's about knowing what you want and knowing what you're working towards. And what you mentioned, I like that you mentioned people have different methods. And it's the same in science, in whatever.
Yeah.
You can have different methods as long as the outcome is the same.
It's the same, yeah.
And the case of an entrepreneur, as long as you can accept that there are other ways to get to the same solution.
Absolutely.
That's completely fine.
Yeah.
It's not like in school when you get the maths mark and you get marked to your method, and then your answer's right and they say, but your method is wrong. Huh? But the answer's right. So it should still be fine. I like that that's a big lesson that you've learned.
Yeah.
But how were you able to deal with that? When someone else came in, was it just because you have a nice personality and said, okay, you can come with your methods? Or was it a challenge for you of accepting it? So what did you do?
Without a doubt, an adjustment. But the type of person that I am, I'm a strong believer. Like, your staff needs to be happy.
Yes.
I don't want anybody coming to work and feeling, because I've been there. Do you know when you go to work and you feel, I don't want to be there? That is why it was imperative for me to employ people that really knows this is what I want to do, right? So I'll put you on a trial and say, come back and ask you, are you happy?
That's something that trial period.
Yeah.
Because you can't just employ people and then they do the work and they don't do a good job.
Yeah.
So how did you manage that thing of putting someone up and saying, come try out and how you feel?
Yeah, I would tell them, take a week, okay? First see if this is something that you want to do. Because before, I cannot invest in you if this is not something that you want to do. So first feel that this is something that you would like to do, and then we can start investing. Also, we are a very close-knit family at Sassy Bakes, because for me, I always tell everyone, I want to have a happy medium. The energy needs to flow. So if anybody has an issue, come and talk to me. Because we sort it out right there and then. Because I want to come in, I'm like a joker. So I want to come in and go, laugh, and I do some dance moves. In my head, I'm also Michael Jackson.
Okay.
I can also sing, which I can't.
She must get
Right?
I saw the idol shows in my ear.
I'm a bit of everything. But this is what makes my staff happy and excited to be there. They sometimes don't want to leave because they are so happy to be there. And that shows me that this is really people that loves what they do. And that is important. That's important for every person who wants to run a business. You need to understand, when you run a business, treat your staff, involve them in everything. They need to understand the dynamics they go. They need to understand, why is it that you are stressing? If I feel stressed out, I'll say, guys, I feel a bit overwhelmed today. We've got so much work. So I need you to also keep me positive because I feel a bit low today. Keep me on that vibe. But if you're just going to be there and be, authoritative and go, dictating to everyone what to do, your staff is going to feel like, I'm not involved here. That's very important.
This feels so much like a relationship.
Yeah.
Like the keys to relationship is your communication and your
Absolutely.
and your trust and your openness, that everyone's on the same page. And that's what it is like running a business. What I want to ask you, Sassy, if you could go back in time, if you could pop into a time machine or make a phone call now to the past and speak to your younger self, to little Sassy, which you're still at Curry Queen or even way before that, what advice would you give that Sassy today about business?
You should have just gone for the baking years ago, because it was also a lack of confidence. And it took me, I lost my mom with cancer a few years ago, and my mom was like my everything. I've got exactly the same personality as my mom, but I was always a little bit insecure, even though I could talk to people, but I could never do the public speaking. So I would go, Mommy, you call them, you do this. And then I realized, there's no more mom, so I need to step up. And that is where I said, I need to go. So go for gold, because you don't know when you're going to get the opportunity again. But you need to understand, running a business is not a joke. It's hard work, right? You are your own boss. Your time is your own. But what you're going to put in is what you're going to get out. It's as simple as that.
I love that. What you put in, what you're going to get out, and going for gold.
Yes.
It's been amazing chatting to you, Sassy.
Thank
what
you.
I do want to mention to people, if you do want to share your stories again, social media is open. You can get hold of Sassy on social media, place your orders right there. How do people, just social media, or how do they get hold of you?
We've decided recently only to do we've got a Sassy business number, and Amber's my assistant, so she deals with all the scheduling and all the whatever bookings. It makes it easier.
No, perfect.
Because it's useless you having people sending DMs on Facebook or everywhere, and then you have all these platforms that you need to adhere to. You know what I mean?
We'll put that details on the screen over there, and we are going to also have some competitions, so you can log on, jump on social, find us over there, and engage with us on social media, because we're going to be doing things with this hotel as well. I think this venue is lovely. What do you think? Yes, we're at the Vibe Hotel in Greenpoint, and
Stunning.
they are.
It is really a vibe.
It's really a vibe.
It's a vibe.
It's now a Sassy vibe. Yes. But this has been the business, guys. Time is running out. I think I want to have a longer chat with you, Sassy. I think you've been amazing with us.
Thank you
Thank you for all the time with us. And I can't wait to just stuff my face with your cakes. And I'm sure the viewers out there will enjoy some of that cakes as well.
Thank you so much, Amy. I appreciate it. I really do.
Thanks. See you next week.
Ciao.